Okay, first I want to welcome everybody to the Government Center today. My name is Mayor Paul Coogan. Joining me today, and all of these people will be speaking, I should say a few of them, is our police chief, Jeff Cardoza, one of his assistants, Captain Dan Doobie. Our district attorney is also with us, Tom Quinn. Our first assistant district attorney, Pat Bomberg, and another assistant district attorney, Mike Kaoline. We're speaking today about the recent uptick in Fall River that I'm sure the community has been thinking about. I'll make a statement and then I'm going to turn it over to a few of these other people. People in Fall River should be safe and feel safe in our community. All of the residents of every neighborhood should, at a minimum, be able to live a life which is free of violence. That's the message we're all going to send today. The city of Fall River will not allow people to break the law or intimidate others. Those who want to make the city more dangerous will not be allowed to run around this city unchecked. It's time we all drew a line in the sand. If you believe the best way to live your life is to prey on others, steal, deal drugs, go live somewhere else. Let the citizens of Fall River continue to work together to make Fall River a stronger and a healthier community. Fall River is a much, much better city when we respect each other, we work with each other, and we look out for each other. That familiar saying, if you see something, say something, should be the basis for how we all support each other during this recent uptick in violent crime. I will now turn this over to our Chief of Police, Chief Jeff Cardoza.
Thank you, man. Good afternoon, everyone. Over the last 39 days, we've certainly seen a surge in gun violence in Fall River. And I can tell you that, speaking for the members of my organization, we are absolutely appalled by what's been going on. As far as we're concerned, one gun crime or one shooting is one too many. I can tell you today that these are not random incidents, and here's what I mean by that. Most of the incidents that involve a person that was struck by gunfire, the victim and the suspect are known to each other. I want to recognize some of the hard work that's been done by members of the Fall River Police Department and the District Attorney's Office on these cases. We take them very seriously. They've been working day and night with sleepless hours to identify and eventually prosecute these individuals. Some of the things that we're doing. I've been in contact with my counterparts from the FBI, the ATF, and the state police. I've asked the state police to deploy some additional resources here at the Fall River. They've agreed to do that. I'm expecting what they call their community action team to be deployed here until further notice. We are also coordinating with ATF to bring back something that we haven't had in a long time, and that's we're going to have what's called a task force officer who's going to be assigned to the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Agency. So we have their resources as well at our fingertips day or night if we need them. In addition to that, I've been in contact with the FBI, my counterpart in Lakeville. She's aware of the uptick in gun violence here in Fall River. And we're working on some strategies that I'm not going to get into today, but going forward, what we would like to do. I want to mention that yesterday, as far as the incident that occurred on Mulberry Street involving the Burgos family, detectives executed a search warrant there, and we recovered 3 firearms. The only other thing that I want to mention is some of the individuals that are involved in these crimes here in Fall River are not from this community. Just to echo what the mayor said, this is a I've said it before, I'll say it again, this is a hard-working and humble community. This is full of good people. If you intent on coming here to commit violent crime, rest assured that myself, prosecutors from the District Attorney's Office, DA Tom Quinn, the FBI, the ATF, and the state police are going to use all our combined resources to identify who you are and then put you in jail. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to DA Tom Quinn.
Afternoon. Mayor, Chief, thank you for the opportunity to make a few comments. If people don't feel safe in their communities, the community's never going to reach its full potential. One of my priorities as district attorney has been to keep dangerous people off the street, working with local departments. Obviously, there's more violence in the major cities such as Fall River. As the chief alluded to, we have prosecutors assigned to Fall River that work with the police to try to solve these cases and bring people to justice. These things, sometimes there's no precise reason for these serious acts of violence. They happen in flurries, but one of the cases alleged a woman shot in the head, another individual shot in the neck. These are very serious crimes that undermine people's sense of security in their neighborhoods and their community. If you have lawlessness going on, people don't feel safe and secure in their communities, and that's something that is a priority for us to address, investigate, and prosecute. Commenting on what the chief said, some of the individuals at this point who are alleged to have been associated with these crimes are not from Fall River. When you have a spate of violence, the community, especially from people outside and inside, get unfairly tarnished with somebody say, hey, what's going on in Fall River? It's out of control. People have a right to come here from any community. But if they're coming here to deal drugs, carry illegal weapons, and shoot people, they certainly are not welcome to do that, and every effort to be made to hold them accountable. There's people associated in these cases, I believe, from Boston, from Brockton, from New Bedford. Again, there's nothing wrong with somebody coming down for a 4th of July party, but when fights break out and guns are pulled, that is unacceptable. It would be preferable, if they're going to do it, to stay in their own communities. We don't want to see it done at all. I'll give you another example of a case that undermines public safety. An individual about a year and a half ago was charged with possessing drugs with the intent to distribute right down the street here at the bottom of President Avenue. At the time, the person was charged with dealing drugs in the Cape, 3 or 4 complaints in Boston, Brockton, had a significant criminal record, including firearms and violent offenses. The individual, my understanding, is from Boston or the Boston area. There was a piece in the Fall River paper today. Tyree Wade is his name. This is just an example. Again, people are free to come here. We're not saying people can't come here, but if the purpose is to deal drugs and commit crimes, that is not acceptable. What happens to him? He's serving a sentence. He's in jail. A COVID motion is filed. I think you know that because of the COVID epidemic, a number of people were trying to get out of jail. He was released, should not have been released, on no bail at all. Guy's has serious convictions, had just served time. He didn't have to be released. He's released. He's acting up in Boston. We have to expend significant resources to go and get him, because we will go get him. And he's brought back in custody and held. But that's just an example, I would say, of the frustration from the city of people coming in, causing trouble. I don't want to say who don't belong here in a sense that they can't come here, but I mean, they don't live here. Should I be going up to Boston, causing trouble and causing problems and committing serious crimes? No, we have the right to travel, but those people will be addressed if there's sufficient evidence to hold them accountable. So again, people need to feel safe in their communities. People of Fall River are hardworking people. They should not be tarnished with people coming in. We have enough problems in all these communities, especially under difficult circumstances in our country. I would like to thank the police for working hard on these cases to protect the citizens of Fall River and to try to hold these people accountable for very serious crimes. Thank you.
Okay, I got 2 other brief announcements before we open up to a few questions, if anybody has any. Fall River is bringing back a program that was here a long time ago called Operation Safe Strip. It's going to be extra patrols on the avenue, probably like from the police station, the fire station at Niagara down to the Dunkin' Donuts. We're going to be looking for people that want to do wheelies, race, loud radios, burn rubber. Just know now that that's no longer a free pass. You're going to get pulled over and stopped, and it's in your press packet what we're doing. So we do expect to ratchet things up in that area. Also, as far as fireworks go, we were averaging 20 to 30 calls a night in the city of Fall River for fireworks. On Tuesday of this week, we had 2 calls, and yesterday we had 5. So say a prayer. It seems like it's ratcheting down a little bit. I would like to also introduce a few other people that are here. Our corporation counsel, Alan Rumsey, our 2 interns, Katarina Pereira and Kyle Nieves, and one of the people that works up in our office with us, Elena Petvid. I will now open it up to questions. I'm going to ask the chief and Tom Quinn to come up, because if anybody has any, that would be great. If not, I appreciate you all for showing up today.
Yeah, I guess it'd be for you and DA Quinn.
Okay.
You're both elected officials. Have you talked to the state legislators about what's going on? Right now, there's a movement to defund the police. The police morale is probably low at this time right now with all the Black Lives Matter protests going on in the city. I keep hearing judges rely on these people to be out in the street with high arrest records, but they're back out in the street. Has any of the state legislators acted at all on this? Have you voiced your opinion with them?
I have participated in a bill that's been filed to amend, make some changes to the state's dangerousness statute that is holding somebody without bail after a hearing if they found to be a danger to the community, which every single one of these people would basically qualify as if they're shooting people. So I continue to work on that. Obviously, the last 3 or 4 months, the country has been turned upside down, but we'll continue to pursue that. Yes, judges an issue in some cases. I think by and large during this epidemic, the local judges have done a nice job, and I've said that previously. But here's an example of a case I mentioned to you. The guy doesn't belong on the street, and I couldn't feel more strongly about it. He didn't have to be released. Judge shouldn't have done it. Then we have to launch a manhunt to go find the guy, and that's exactly what happened. So we'll continue to do that. Hopefully, like anything, the ideal thing in life is a balance to things, but dangerous people need to be kept off the street, and that's what we're trying to do.
This is a question from DA Quinn, specifically about the overdoses. Back in 2013, as you know,
Yes.
The father had his 14-year-old son, Josh, at the time, go in, pistol whip a woman in a McDonald's. And then 4 years later, he took a plea deal, and it was reckless endangerment. Do you think that was a mistake? Because clearly there was a gun involved, it was violence.
Well, I'm familiar with the case generally. One thing in these cases that you have to be, we're aware of them, because there are evidentiary issues in some of these cases, and I know just in general terms in that case, you're referring to the McDonald's case, correct? Yes. There was some evidentiary issues. So was it a mistake to do it? I mean, whether he got more time or not, or whatever happened, here we are. So certain individuals have a predisposition to commit crimes, that whatever their makeup is. So I would say it was a mistake. I mean, I'd have to go through the thing here, but I do recall, generally speaking, there were evidentiary issues with respect to that case. But there was accountability. The son at the time, I believe, was a juvenile, but they're back at it in a very, 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 very serious case. So that case is being investigated, and we'll prosecute it as best we can.
Chief, go ahead. Just to follow up, there were 3 more guns confiscated in the Burgos' home. Were they legal or illegal?
I mean, at this point, I mean, it's an ongoing investigation. If they had a legal right to possess them, I gather they wouldn't be charged. But that's an ongoing, I don't mean to, I'm just saying, it's an ongoing investigation. I don't know if you
Yeah, it's my understanding that no one in the residence has a license to carry, if that's your question, Joe.
So essentially
So,
they are.
in and of themselves, they'll certainly be illegal to possess.
Chief, I'm wondering if there are any leads, you look at these incidents and the majority don't have arrests made. Are there leads in these other shooting cases since June 1st? Does it look like the suspects may be connected in any way to these other incidents?
I think you're asking if the, I think you're asking if the incidents are tied together? Is that what you're asking, if there's any connection between?
We look at the list of shootings since June 1st, the majority don't have arrests made. So I guess, what do you have to say to the public when it comes to finding the suspects in these cases? Are there any leads, and does it look like suspects may be bouncing back and forth between these incidents.
Yeah, so we don't have any information that would show that any of these cases are related as far as the suspects go. They're all isolated incidents in and of themselves. Is that the question you asked, I think?
Yeah, and what are you doing to try and make these arrests?
Why we didn't have more arrests? Oh, okay. So certainly I would love to have a 100% solve rate, absolutely. One of the issues that comes along with these cases, and I know that DA Tom Quinn could certainly follow up with me on that, is that a lack of cooperation. There are several of those cases that you're looking right now on that document where the detectives were told to get out of the hospital room, I have nothing to say to you, and that's extremely frustrating. As I said earlier, the detectives and officers that work these cases take them very personally. This is their community too. They care about it. And when they find a person that's in the hospital bed with 3 gunshot wounds and they're insulted and kicked out of the room, it's not a good feeling. It's something that, you know, we're frustrated about as well. But that doesn't mean we stop. I put pressure on those guys every day to continue to find other ways, whether or not the victim's cooperating or not, to solve these cases. Okay?
Are there motives in these cases that you can say right now, or do they seem to be drug-related mostly?
I'd rather not comment on that right now. But yeah, there are motives, but I'd rather not comment on what they are.
So it looks like the gunfire from May and June is up about 100% for those months. And so I'm guessing this is why we're calling the press conference is the gunshots. Is there a reasoning behind it that you can think of why this would be 100% from last year?
It's a great question. You know, the mayor and I have talked about this. What's causing this surge? As you can see from those documents, that for that time period, where I think we're even with that same time period last year. However, like I said earlier, in the last 39 days, there's been a significant surge. Why is that happening? I don't know. Is it related to some of the stuff that's going on nationally? Perhaps. I'm just not able to answer that. But we have concerns about it, and that's why we're here today.
Real quick follow-up. What's the morale like in the Kover Police Department as far as what's going on right now? I mean, the police are being targeted across the country right now through rallies. Is morale high or is it low? Or
It's good. I'm not going to say it's high. It's good. Sick time's down, and they're coming to work. They're working hard. They care about the community. We're doing a lot of good things with the mayor's office as far as Black Lives Matter and panels, and they're volunteering to participate in those programs. Everything that's going on in the country, I could tell you that from the newest patrol officer to the 30-year veteran is bothered by what happened. I don't want to get too sidetracked on that, but they want to be respected. They want to work with the community. They want the community to work with them. So they're out there dedicated every day doing what they need to do.
I just, maybe not the Burgoses, but the other shootings, any possibility that we're talking about gang-related crimes, especially when they're not talking?
I really, Joe, I don't want to jeopardize any of the investigations that are ongoing. They're all fluid right now, so I really don't want to get into that at this point. That might be something that we'll be able to answer in the future.
Are these incidents happening in specific neighborhoods, and are you patrolling those spots more?
They're spread out. There is one particular area where involves two of those incidents, and we put extra patrols in those areas. In fact, today there's some walking beats down in the Mulberry Street neighborhood, and we'll do that for as long as we can to make the residents feel safer.
I have a question. So you were talking about the partnership with the ATF. You're kind of expanding these things. What are you doing right now? Like, I'm looking, starting June 1st on, what are the steps you've taken in that time to try to get this to stop in a way? You were just mentioning increased patrol in certain areas, but beyond that, what's happening like right now that you can tell people?
Well, the detectives are they've been here all night. They were here last night. They were here the night before, tirelessly working. These guys and gals are working on a couple hours sleep, trying to solve these cases. There are times that they probably spend more time with 88 Kaylin and 88 in Bomberg than they do their own families. So they're there. I mean, we're not just going to have this press conference and say, okay, everything's good. You know, they're working hard, and I'm over there every day getting briefed by the commander over there, and it's not going to stop. We're going to find ways, working with the DA's office, to identify and prosecute these individuals.
Do you feel like you're making progress?
In some of the cases, yes, and some not. As I expressed earlier, it's difficult when you go to a scene and you have witnesses scatter and they don't want to talk to the police. In some of these cases, there are a lack of respect, if you will, for law enforcement, and they just won't cooperate, including it astonishes me how someone could be shot 3 times and not want to cooperate with the police, but apparently that exists, unfortunately.
Does Fall River have the ShotSpotter system anymore?
We do not. We do not.
Do you
That's,
think that was a bad move to get rid of that with all these shootings?
I know there were issues with reliability that my counterpart had concerns about, and they recently reached out to me. I've had some conversations with DA Quinn and the folks from ShotSpotter, and you know, they told me that they've fixed those issues, but it's always a matter of funding as well. I mean, it's an expensive tool to have in the toolbox, so that's something that's been discussed, but we're not at that point right now.
Joe?
Chief, can you just send a message to people who live in these communities who are terrified every day? I mean, 9 shootings in a month. Can you just send them a message of reassurance?
It's really simple. We're here and we care. Just because you don't see a patrol car driving by or an officer walking the beat doesn't mean that we're not doing something. There's a lot of aspects to policing, as we all know in this room, and one of them is Kover. There's a lot of different things that we're doing. We've worked with the mayor's office to put some cameras, some surveillance systems out. I have quite a few detectives that are in an undercover capacity. We're getting information. We're out there. Even though you may not see us, we care. And then to echo what the mayor said, we need people to call. We need people to call us and provide information. I've seen it downslide in that, where people want to cooperate with the police. And like I said earlier, people in this community are hardworking and humble people, and we need their help.
This is for the mayor. As you know, this is a very difficult budget time. You don't know what's coming down the pipe or what's not coming down the pipe. And stepping up these efforts is going to be expensive for the city pay for it.
Fortunately, a lot of this is also piggybacking on CARES funding or COVID money that we receive from the federal government or the state. So in working with the chief to make sure we can designate certain expenses, we are using every means possible to make sure he has as many people as he needs on the streets. And we're using some creative financing, and we are going to keep doing that, whether it's in regards to a shooting, the protests, patrols, safe streets. Anything we can do to make the people in Fall River safer is going to be our goal.
Will you go on record to say that you won't defund the police as your mayor?
I'm not going to defund the police, no. I think, you know, I hate to tell you, but I think the police are an integral part of this community. I think if you just look at what happened in Fall River in relation to protests, people were respectful. By and large, everything went smoothly. The chief and I walked with the protesters, I'm trying to say in all 3 of them, didn't we? Yeah, in all 3 of the major protests we had in Fall River. And we didn't walk by ourselves. We were talking to people the whole way, and we're engaging them on the level of, we're all residents of Fall River, and that's how we do it. We're going to stay with them, and we'll keep doing it. I mean, protest is fine as long as it's peaceful and it has a message.
Would you say the city council has that same message with you?
I believe all the individual members I've talked to on the council do support that message. Yep. Anything further, guys?
Quickly, we got a tip that an assault Tuesday night, that a victim may have died from that. Is that accurate?
That I'm not sure is still under investigation, or I don't know.
Is that a chief or?
Not aware of that at this time. When you say died, what do you mean, in a shooting?
Not sure. We're just told that assault Tuesday night, the victim from that assault has died.
We have an ongoing suspicious death. We don't comment on it. We investigate every unattended death, our office, along with local and state police, so I wouldn't comment on that just as a report. But that's going on, constantly investigating people who die, either if it's a clear homicide, or if it's unattended, meaning no one is present with them.
So that instance is a suspicious death that's being investigated
Being
right now?
investigated, yes.
Nothing further, guys. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Anything else? We'll hang around for a few minutes.